Thanks for tuning in to No Wine in No Time. I'm your host Dave, and today we're going to talk about a very small commune in the northern part of Italy by the name of Ghemme. And if you're like me, you love wines that are produced from a native northern Italian grape by the name of Nebbiolo. But all too often when we go into our wine stores, we're presented with just two options. And great options they are. And those are what we call the big B's. That's Barolo and Barbadesco. And while Nebbiolo's traditions run very deep in that area, and we've actually done quite a few No Wine in No Time videos, not only about those wines, but actually from those areas, and showed you how exceptional they are. If you want a very mineral-driven, high-intensity form of Nebbiolo, we need to leave Barolo and go about 90 miles north to the area called Ghemme. Now, grapes have been cultivated in Ghemme for thousands of years, and the Romans were actually the first ones to do that. But the actual name Ghemme comes from a Celtic tribe by the name of Ghemmica, and those were the people who were the ones that were really successful in producing wines in that area and actually moving that wine to other parts of the world. So what exactly makes this area so special? We have Barolo, we have Barbadesco, and they produce exceptional Nebbiolo. Well, a lot of it comes down to a term we use a lot in the wine world, and that's called terroir. So why exactly is Ghemme so special? So when we think about higher elevation, we think of the word Piemonte, and Piemonte actually means in the foothills. So the greater overall region is Piemonte. We talked about Barolo and Barbadesco being 90 miles to the south. We actually gain a little bit of elevation as we head up towards the Alps and go to Ghemme. And there's a mountain in that area called Monte Rosa. And Monte Rosa and a river system by the name of Sesia, those two actually meet to form an exceptional amount of diurnal temperature swing. And what I mean by that is if we take the high temperature in the daytime and the low temperature at night, subtract them from each other, that is the diurnal temperature swing. So why exactly is that important? When we think of diurnal temperature swing, if we have a rather large one, we build up a resistance in grapes that allows it to have a higher acidic content. And acid is the balance that's important to all wines. Without acid, we have a wine that tends to be flabby and it doesn't age as long. So when we look at what exactly a Ghemme wine has, extreme tannins from thick skins, extreme acid from higher elevation and larger temperature swings, and an incredible mineral-driven soil, which adds a certain spiciness to the wine. This is really an exceptional area and one that you should seek out. Unfortunately, when we look at Barolo and Barbadesco, they dominate because their production is much larger. If we go north to Ghemme, there's only 180 acres of total Nebbiolo vines in that commune. 180! Can you imagine how small that is? So the production is extremely, extremely tiny. So let's also look at, besides the terroir, what else makes this area special. In 1969, Ghemme got its DOC, and in 1997 it received its DOCG, which is Italy's highest level of quality, but also recognition of a tremendous amount of tradition in that area. Well, a lot of what it comes down to is what grapes are allowed to be used in production and how much that wine needs to be aged. So we can take a wine that has exceptional potential and then bring out that potential in the wine because of aging. So let's talk about that for a second. We said Nebbiolo was the most important grape in this area, and that is correct. So a Ghemme can be 100% Nebbiolo. However, it could be as low as 85% Nebbiolo, because there's two other grapes that are native to that area that can be blended in up to 15% quantities, and that is Vespolina and also Bonardo. So also, once the wine is made, we need to age the wine. To be a DOCG Ghemme, it has to age at least 36 months. And of those 36 months, 20 needs to be an oak. If we want to be a Ghemme Reserva, then we have to age 48 months, of which 25 needs to be in wood as well. So what we're doing is we're adding a complexity by adding a little bit of the oak influence to the wine. We're also getting a much more mature wine because it's being aged a bit longer. So if you're like me, you're probably ready to get into a Ghemme and see what exactly that tastes like. And I picked a very, very special cellar selection for you today. This is one from my personal collection. I've been aging it for years. It's actually from Rovellati, and this is a 2010 Ghemme. So I bought in pretty heavy into this vintage. First, because it was an absolutely exceptional vintage, one of the best in 25 years. This is a great producer who produces exceptional wines that are extremely age-worthy. So the date right now is 2022. So this wine is not quite 12 years old, but approaching that. And I can tell you, just from being in close proximity to it, what's wafting out of the glass is a tremendous amount of aromatics. And I can tell you, because this isn't the first bottle I've tasted, this is an exceptional, exceptional wine. So let's take a look and see what we might expect from a Ghemme. So the first thing that we notice is that a Ghemme is just slightly transparent. It's got a little bit of ruby or garnet, and we can actually see through it. And that's because Nebbiolo has a little less phenolic compounds than some of the other wine grapes we might be used to. If we swirl to liberate the aromas, the first thing that leaps out of the glass is somewhere between dark chocolate, black licorice, spring flowers, everything from violets to lilies, and a tremendous amount of spiciness. Let's go ahead and taste the wine and see how it presents itself on the palate. Wow, that really is exceptional. So from front to back, from left to right, it is a flavor explosion. And what Rovellati's got going on in this particular Ghemme is an entry of incredible tart cherry flavor. So as soon as it hits the palate, you taste this very tart cherry. But then the depth starts to produce. We actually taste sweet spices. We taste things like a little bit of cardamom. We get anise. We get, of course, black licorice. And then on the sides of the palate, we feel this tremendous lift of acidity. And it's all being tied together with this beautiful aftertaste of elegant caramely oak and a tremendously stiff, long finish of very, very stout tannins. This is really an exceptional bottle of wine, and I hope that you are able to seek out, maybe not necessarily this vintage, but something from this producer or one of their neighbors in Ghemme. So you might be asking, what exactly does this wine pair with? And because of its full body and its tremendous tannic structure, I always say it pairs very well with red meats. But don't think things like steak on the grill. We're talking about roasted meats. So let's think things like ossobuco, which is a braised and roasted veal shank. Or think of Yankee pot roast or chuck roast. Those would be really exceptional pairs. But if you do happen to track one of these down, just enjoy a little bit all by itself. I think you'll be amazed at the exceptional quality, the depth of character, and really complexity that this wine has. So I'm going to get back and enjoy a little bit more of this Ghemme, and I ask that you please come back next time, because soon you'll know wine in no time.